I'm Desiree Lorenz, and I'm with John L. Scott Real Estate. I wanted to take a couple of moments to go over a few questions that I would ask if I were going to interview a listing agent to sell my house. I know there are the few obvious questions that we would ask, like maybe how many years have you been in the business, or what do you charge for your services? Now, I realize those are big questions at the end of the day, but I do think that there are some really important topics to cover besides those two things. One of the questions that I would absolutely ask an agent if I were interviewing them would be, what are your selling stats? What are your average days on market? And what is your listing price to sold price ratio? Give me those stats and tell me what that looks like. I want to know, on average, how many days on market do your listings typically spend? Not average days on market for the listings in my area. Yes, I will also want to know that as well, but it's really important to me to know what you're capable of and in the time frame you're going to accomplish that. I think that would give you a pretty good idea. And I think that the listing price to sold price ratio is another big question to ask. How often are they selling their listings at listing price? Or are they making significant price reductions along the way? That would be something that I would want to know. If we're making a $10,000, $15,000 price reduction at the end of the day after we've been on market for 30 days, that's going to make a significant difference to my bottom line at the end of the day as a seller. And it's going to make a difference to my experience, my timeline, and what I'm spending at the end of the day to keep that listing active. So not only does it cost the agent, but it also costs the seller. They're paying the mortgage, the utilities, and all the other things that come along with being a homeowner during that time. So those are important things to know during the process of hiring an agent. Another thing that I would definitely ask is how many active listings do you have and how many buyers are you helping at this time in particular? I want to know how much attention I'm going to get from you during this transaction. Am I going to be a priority, or am I going to be another number at the end of the day that you are just trying to get through the sale to get to the closing table and move on to the next? I want to know that I'm a priority, that I am somebody that you care about, and that you're going to take the time to make sure that my listing and my home is your priority. So that's a question I would absolutely ask. And then that kind of leads into the next one that I have is, how available are you going to be during my transaction? I want to know that I can call you, that you're going to be available on the weekends, that you're not going to be out of town or so busy that you can't answer my calls and it constantly goes to voicemail. I want to know that you are going to still make me a priority even after that listing contract is signed. So that's a question I would also ask. And then another big one that I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook or don't think about is, what kind of reputation do you have with other agents in our area? Do you have a good working relationship with them? When they see your name come over on an offer, do they enjoy working with you? When they see your sign in my yard, are they going to look forward to a transaction that is going to be a good one for everyone involved? I want to know that, because at the end of the day, if another agent or multiple agents have issues with the listing agent that you have, maybe they might not show that property, or they may warn their clients that this agent is really difficult to work with, and immediately your home comes with a red flag. So I just think that that would be a question that I would ask if I were going to interview a listing agent. So another question that I would ask would be, how well do you know the area? Are you an expert on the schools and the events and parks, shopping, neighborhoods? Have you sold in my neighborhood recently? Those are questions that I would absolutely ask. I think it is detrimental to a seller for their listing agent to know the areas that they're working in, to have a stronghold on the happenings in the community, and to know the restaurants and places that they will be able to shop and eat and play and work and all of the good stuff that make living in a certain area a great thing. So be able to hire a listing agent that is going to showcase your home in the area and help buyers envision themselves living there in the places that they'll visit on a daily basis. So knowing the area and what it has to offer, I think, is a huge part of a listing agent and the services that they provide in helping to sell your home. Another question that I would ask is, are you going on vacation anytime soon? And if you are, do you have somebody who will be covering you? I see a lot of people who are often kind of left in the dark or with an assistant that doesn't quite know what's happening and the agent is gone for a majority of their transaction. I want to know if that's going to be my experience from the get-go. And even if you are on vacation, that's going to be okay with me as long as I know that I'm going to be taken care of. Do you have somebody stepping in and covering for you? If so, who is that person? May I meet them so that I know that I feel comfortable with them handling my transaction while you step out? So absolutely another question I would ask. And I think one more question that leads into is, will I be able to deal with you directly, or will I be passed to an assistant or a team of people once you get me in contract? Will you be the person that I will be dealing with during my transaction? I think this is important to me because once we have that relationship and we have established that connection with one another, I want to make sure that that is going to last throughout the transaction and that I can count on that throughout the transaction. So those are a few questions that I would ask if I were going to interview a listing agent. I think they're questions that you should hold on to and probably ask if you're going to interview. If you have any questions about any of it, feel free to ask and reach out to me. I would love to cover it with you. Otherwise, I hope you have a fabulous day, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Follow along for more.